Good day, people. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about bitch assness. Bitch assness and how we as men do not appreciate or understand our level of bitch assness. This is not all of us, clearly. Actually admit that, I have and I'm working through some level of bitch assness that I have to get through. And you get this level of bitch assness because we've been given the wrong script. You're literally, especially as black men, literally given a script. Like Biggie Small said, especially in certain communities, certain black communities, Biggie Small said, either you're selling crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot. Now, obviously, he was talking about, the only ways to make it out, and this is not just ourselves that's creating this script. Like society, white supremacy is creating this script, but we are buying into it in ways that we don't even understand, right? So we're handed this script that says, here's who we have to be. Here we have to be tough, we can't cry, we have to be cool. This is what happens when a whole bunch of different people who are afraid of being ridiculed or afraid of having their feelings hurt in some way or another, because they're afraid of vulnerability. Really is what it is. The truth of it is afraid of vulnerability, because the minute they present any sort of weakness, quote unquote, the idea of weakness, if anytime we present any avenue for someone to potentially attack us, then we think of ourselves as weak, and as a result, we completely break down. Now, why is this an issue? Or not even why is this this is an issue, right? Like, we're not necessarily even talking about true weakness, right? Like, we're not talking about things that can actually impact us. A lot of what we are afraid of are people's opinions, fear of judgment. I talk about that a lot, right? These are not true things that can actually cause harm, right? Like, they talk about sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And in reality, it's all how you react to things that determine whether or not you're hurt. But as men, we are given this script that says, physically, I know this is to be true, like, I pride myself in, meeting any type of physical challenge, protecting my family, all that good stuff, not being afraid on a physical level. But when it comes to the idea of exposing myself and my vulnerabilities, that's an area where I do not exhibit the same level of courage. And what we're talking about, courage, courage is being fearful and doing it anyway. Is the one area that I don't know how recent this has been, but we have been pushing, the idea of courage, being fearful, not having an absence of fear, but having the fear and proceeding and doing whatever it is that you have to do. And I just recently talked about this with somebody, and it's like, we do our children a disservice when we run up and, whenever they're having some sort of feeling that is not the most positive, they're feeling sad or unhappy or whatever, somebody did something to them, and the minute that happens, like, we're running up trying to remove that feeling from them, like trying to figure out how they don't have that feeling, how, like trying to soothe them and all that good stuff. And so, the idea though is you can't just, pretend these feelings away, right? This is part of being human, and I think that's what we have to do when we approach this sort of thing with our children, is to understand that this is part, like, feelings is part of being human. Like, they're indicators. They indicate something is happening, and you live with it. This is not to say that you ignore the feelings, because that's probably equally as bad. Like, if you deny and ignore the feelings, you're like, okay, get over it and just move on. A lot of times, this is what causes trauma, because people don't even know exactly what is impacting them. They don't know what the feeling is. They don't know, they can't recognize it when it comes up again. So I'm not talking about denying the feeling. I'm talking about trying to remove it and pretending that this is not part of life. Like, this is why you're a human being. You're gonna have feelings. You're gonna have to not just have fear and do it anyway. You're gonna have sadness and do it anyway. You're gonna have the desire not to do something, and you're gonna do it anyway. But it's the same thing when we talk about fear for men. Is, like we talk about, like, we are a bunch of people, a bunch of men running around fearful and doing shit anyways, because this is what happens when you're pretending to be tough. You're living in neighborhoods where it's like you're scared, and so one of the things that people talk about all the time is you're scared, and so one of the fastest things you could do is like just growl or attack first and all this other stuff. We're running around doing that, and so in a way you can call that courage, but it's also as courageous when you are able to be, when you try something and you fail, when somebody's looking at you and they're ridiculing you, and you're able to just come back the next day anyway, continue to come back. Which is why I really appreciate and I don't know if I'm going to say love, but let's just say love Drake because people talk about him being soft, but one of the things that he is not is a bitch ass. Because that dude has, from the moment he's come into this game, and there's been plenty of other people like this, but I don't know, I relate to that experience. Like, Puff Daddy as well. Like, all these people who put themselves out there, like, who are, bucking the script that we're told. Here's how you're supposed to look. You're supposed to act this way, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna look like I'm not gonna look the part, but I'm gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna be courageous enough not to just run away. And those are people who are not bitch asses. And for too long, like, I've sat trying to play this role, not be vulnerable, continue to act within the script of the story, and even like I'm doing this not live. There isn't anybody in front of me right now, and it's still like the idea of putting this out there is even something that's trepidatious. But that's also why I appreciate social media and all this other stuff, because there is some level of distance that you can do that allows you to gradually, like they talk about, like getting over your fears. It's like you gradually do certain things. Like if you have a fear of height, like you think about it and then you walk up to it and all that other stuff. I think social media is a great way for us to do that. And I think, too many, for a long time, I used to look at it and be like, oh, what are these people doing? And this is something that happens with every new change and new generation of people doing things. Like, we're so used to whatever we were doing traditionally that we immediately start to criticize and put down what's happening that's new. But eventually everybody comes along and, coming along, and no more bitch assness. Like, let's go out and get it. Your feelings are hurt. Somebody hurt your feelings. They didn't like you or whatever. All right. Whatever. Not, you ain't really hurt me. So, courage. This is what this is. So, thank you for taking the time to listen. Hopefully, what I said resonates with you. If it doesn't, if you don't feel like this applies to you, good. Then you're not a bitch ass. If you think that you can learn from it and grow, then today's the day to stop being a bitch ass. Let's go.